More calls to remove the popular podcaster from Spotify after a compilation video surfaced of Rogan repeatedly using a racial slur in past episodes. Rogan issuing this apology and saying he has been taken out of context.
There's a video that's out that's a compilation of me saying the N-word. It's a video that's made of clips taken out of context of me of 12 years of conversations on my podcast, and it's all smushed together, and it looks horrible, even to me. There's nothing I can do to take that back. I wish I could. I do hope that, if anything, that this can be a teachable moment.
And while pressure to pull Joe Rogan mounts, Spotify CEO says his company will be sticking with the star podcaster instead of, quote, silencing him. But Joe Rogan has decided to let the platform remove more than 100 episodes from the platform of Spotify. I also just want to play this. This is a media montage, we like to say, in this business. Watch here.
That compilation right there, which he has admitted to is authentic, that would be enough to put anybody out of a job. I mean, to me, it seems untenable to have that kind of video surface, that kind of compilation surface, and keep one's job.
There are many examples, including in Hollywood and entertainment, where people have lost their roles for less than this.
All right, Greg, let's start with you. What do you think?
What that discussion showed you, it's all about getting him fired. The first attempt, which was on COVID information, didn't work. So then miraculously, this montage just shows up from maybe a Democratic PAC. No one's quite sure. But it tells you that it is not about the word. The thing is, when you look at the Rogan montage, it looks bad, but it's designed to look that way. If you take out if you put all the context back in, it actually looks less bad. But miraculously, it looks terrible without context. That's how it works. I loved how there was a guy named Don Winslow who condemned Rogan over this until they went into his novels and found out how many times. And they posted every time Don Winslow had used the N-word. I thought that was great. I've noticed that there aren't a lot of blacks caring about this story. It's only white liberals and white leftists who want to bring down Rogan. And I think maybe it's because blacks see that the word is being used as a tool, not the word being offensive itself, but the fact that this is manufactured for a different mission than the rejection of the word. It's about going after somebody, or else they would have included the context. Why didn't you include the context?
What do you think of that, Harold?
So I've never been on a podcast where I've used the N-word, nor have I been on one with anybody using it. Now, having said that, we're all humans, so we're made of flesh, which means we make mistakes. I listened to him just now, and I listened to him before, and I accept the fact that he believes it was wrong. He also believes it might have been a setup, and he thought it looked. He used the word to say a very powerful adjective to say horrible. Now, I'm also one that believes the cancel culture thing, as I've said before, has just gone way too far. I encourage open, robust, argumentative, as long as there's civil debates and conversations, and as long as there's not malice involved in the conversation or in one's words. And you have to be willing, if you're going to have that happen, that some people may make mistakes in how they convey themselves. As long as you learn from it and you accept you're sincere in your apology, and we had this situation last week with Whoopi Goldberg, I think she really learned that the Jewish people are a race, and you were annihilating a race during the Holocaust. We can say that, well, she should have known, but she didn't. I think Joe Rogan, I don't think he'll use the N-word again on his podcast. And I think it's important for him to understand why not. You don't excuse those kinds of things. You try to teach. I thought he used teachable moment, which I thought was the right way to describe it. And adults, real people, civilized people have to be willing to forgive people, and let's move on.
Jesse, what do you think of how Spotify has handled this?
Fine so far. Permission to make an analogy?
Absolutely. No, not now.
Rogan is like a cat, and he's a curious cat. And he's poking his nose around and everything, and he's sniffing around, and he's asking questions. Now, curiosity is very threatening to powerful people, because he's asking questions like, is there an alternative to Pfizer's very profitable vaccine? Is Fauci's connection with the Chinese suspicious? Are the lockdowns effective? Those questions threaten the authority of the Democratic hierarchy. They threaten the profitability of Big Pharma. and especially journalists are upset because journalists are the ones that are supposed to be curious. They're the ones that are supposed to be asking these questions. He's asking the questions they're paid to ask, but they don't ask them because they like playing the inside game. Yeah. They like the access. They like the safe job. They don't want to rattle the corporate brass. They want to keep their jobs. So they're jealous of him. And they're trying to lead on Spotify now to cancel him. They're trying to make it so curiosity kills the cat. But the cat has more than 9 lives.
Oh.
Ooh, wow.
Jesse, that was very poetic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
This prime time thing is good for
we have
your
a last word
poetry.
for you, Judge.
You know what? I was very proud of the Spotify CEO when he said, I don't believe in silencing, and I don't believe that silencing Joe Rogan is the answer to this. And it was the first time in a long time that I finally said that I thought that finally maybe somebody is going to understand that we've got to stop canceling each other out because we don't like what they say. And make no mistake, CNN is going to be the first one who's going to jump in and count on trying to destroy anybody because they've got so few marbles left in the game. But I think that if you start going down this road, we have to understand a couple of things. Number one, that we have all evolved in terms of our language, that there was a time that language was used very freely.
But
decades,
wrongly.
Let me
Wrongly.
finish,
Yeah, okay.
Harold. Let me finish.
Sure.
It was used freely and it was used wrongly, to use your word. It is not a word that anyone should ever repeat. It is a horrible word. But it was used more often in the past when people were ignorant. And you can say that Whoopi Goldberg was ignorant of what, the Jewish race is about. And ignorance pervades a lot. But how far back do we take this? Do we go into the lives of all the comedians and the singers and what they've said and the rappers? And, do we go after every artist? How far back should we go back? And what words are the words that are enough to cancel? And what if it's taken out of context as opposed to being put in context? We've got to stop this canceling and remember the fact that this is a nation that was founded on the First Amendment. If we make a decision because we don't like what someone says, and I hate that word, I abhor it. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I want to be clear on that. All right. But what I'm saying is we as adults and Americans have the right to finally stand up and say, I don't want to socialize with you. I want nothing to do with you. I won't listen to you. I won't watch you because you disgust me. But it's time to stop canceling each other out. We're Americans and we have freedom of speech.
Amen.
End of that story.
Amen. I agree.
Amen, indeed.